Yo, this is Jay from Straight Smoke Gaming, and in today's video, we're going to be bringing you post-Week 7 power rankings. This is a series that me and Orb started this year, pretty much based on how teams play, injuries, records, stuff like that. We make these new power rankings every week, and I got to start off by saying Week 7 was interesting. There was a lot of injuries to players, some really important. We're going to talk about that in the video. Starting off here, we got 32, the Carolina Panthers. No move there. I mean, the Panthers, they're just not good. That's really it. I mean, this is by far the worst team in football. You're starting Andy Dalton every week, and, that's not good. So, Panthers, they don't move anywhere from last week. 31, you got the Tennessee Titans. They didn't move anywhere from last week either. They did start their backup quarterback, but even with Will Levis, this team is not good. They're definitely a bottom 4 team in the NFL, in my opinion. So, yeah, Tennessee Titans are sitting at 31 currently. At 30, you got the Cleveland Browns. They drop one spot. Now, they drop one spot because, well, the loss, obviously. They did get Nick Chubb back. That's a plus. But the same week they get Nick Chubb back, Deshaun Watson gets hurt. If you want to say that's good, that's bad, maybe that means that they'll get a better quarterback in there now. I don't know. I'm not here to make that call. But when you lose your starting quarterback, that's going to hurt you overall because we don't know what the backup's going to be able to do. I hope he has a speedy recovery from his Achilles injury. At 29, you got the New England Patriots. They drop one spot as well. They lost to the Jaguars in London. The Jaguars, on paper, are a good team, but they just can't seem to put it together. That's a game you should have won, probably. 28, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They move up 2 spots from last week. The Jaguars, like I was saying, good team on paper. They're just not putting wins in the win column. So, with a win this week in London, without ETN, really, because he got hurt, or he might have been, no, he was ruled out before the game started. So without ETN, you get a win, that's going to bump you up. 27, the New Orleans Saints, they dropped 4 spots, mainly because of injuries. This team cannot stay healthy. Shaheed's done for the year. Adebo's done for the year. And we've seen what this team looks like with all the injuries that they have. They're sending Spencer Rattler out there. He's got no line. He's got no receivers. It's just rough for the Saints all around right now. 26, you got the Raiders. They move up 1 spot. Now, the Raiders, similar to the Saints, they're just not good. But at least the Raiders aren't hurt. They did lose Devontae Adams. They're not really struggling with injuries right now, although AOC did go down. But let's be real here. AOC wasn't much of an upgrade from Gardner Minshew anyway. So I'm not going to count that against them too much. 25, you got the Miami Dolphins moving up 1 spot. Dolphins, they didn't really do much. They lost this week, but they're solely moving up a spot because this team is starting to trend in the right direction. Tua is supposed to be coming back. Maybe with Tua coming back, that offense will look a little bit better. 24, you got the Los Angeles Rams. They move up 1 spot. They got the win over the Raiders. Not a really quality win. The Raiders, like I said, aren't really a good team. But similar to the Dolphins, this team is getting healthy. Cup's supposed to be back next week. They just opened up Puka's practice window, so those 2 big receivers, if they can come back, this offense will be in a lot better shape, and I think the team will be as well. 23, you got the Arizona Cardinals moving up 1 spot from last week. They got the win against the Chargers. They came back with a minute. They went down the field, ended up winning the game, so that's going to move you up. They did beat a team that did have a winning record, so that counts for something. 22, you got the New York Giants dropping 2 spots. They had a pretty important game that they did not really put up much of a fight for. It was Saquon revenge game against the Eagles. That's a division game. Preferably you want to win that. They didn't. The Eagles are by far a better team, but I would like to see the Giants keep it a little bit close. They did have all their starters back, I believe. So that's just a game that they kind of got to put together a better fight. And at 21, you got the New York Jets. They dropped 3 spots. Sure, they got Devontae Adams, but that team, I don't know what's going on with them. They look like they're missing something. So they're dropping 3 spots right now. At 20, you got the Indianapolis Colts. They dropped 1 spot. Sure, they got the win, but the offense really didn't look that good in Anthony Richardson's return. So that's going to ding them a spot down in my book. At 19, you got the Denver Broncos. They dropped 2 spots. They were good. They won their game, but like I said, it was against the Saints. They played good, sure, but who knows about Pat Surtain? If Surtain's good, if the Saints were healthy, who knows? Maybe this game turns out differently, so I can't really credit them too much on their win. 18, the Dallas Cowboys. They move up 4 spots. Honestly, if you wanted to move the Broncos up a couple, I would be okay with knocking the Cowboys back. They were on a bye week. They didn't really do much, and they didn't really do anything to move themselves up on the roster-wise. And then at 17, you got the Cincinnati Bengals. They stay put. If you wanted to put the Broncos above the Bengals and keep them even from last week, I'd be okay with that too. So, yeah, I mean, the Bengals, they're just not putting up fights like on offense, and they have a good offense. I'm not sure why. At 16, you got the Chicago Bears. They stay even. They had a bye week. Didn't really do much to move them up or down, so that's good. The Los Angeles Chargers is sitting at 15. They dropped 3 spots from last week. This was the team that lost to the Arizona Cardinals in 1 minute. You made the comeback late in the game. You gave them back the ball with a minute left. Your defense has to stand tall. They got to give you a stop, and they didn't. That's going to knock you back some spots, in my opinion. Quite honestly, the running game wasn't there. The pass game looked good, but you got to put up more points than what they did. At 14, the Atlanta Falcons, they dropped 5 spots. It was an embarrassing loss to the Seahawks. The Falcons, they're supposed to be legit. They're supposed to be a good team. We got to see Michael Penix for the first time in the NFL, so that's a plus. I didn't watch the game. I don't really know how he did, but just looking at what the Seahawks did to them, it wasn't a good game for the Falcons. At 13, the San Francisco 49ers dropping 3 spots. They lost Brandon Ayuk all year to a torn ACL. Deebo Samuel was hospitalized with fluid in his lungs. He was released from the hospital today, so that is a plus. They still don't have Christian McCaffrey. This team is just decimated with injuries, and that's what's holding them back right now. At 12, you got the Seattle Seahawks moving up 3 spots. Big win over the Falcons. I was one of the believers in the Falcons, thinking they were legit and they were a good team. So when you go in and you beat a team like that, you beat them bad enough that they pull their starting quarterback, that's going to move you up into my rankings, in my opinion. At 11, you got the Philadelphia Eagles moving up 3 spots. They got a big division win. It was a convincing win. They held them to 3 points, and defense has been, quite honestly, the thing the Eagles struggle with the most this year. So good win for the Eagles. They move up 3 spots from last week. At 10, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they also move up 3 spots. Russell Wilson came in, and the offense looked the same. I don't really know if Russell Wilson switching with Justin Fields did much. One thing I will say is that he was going against the hard defense. The Jets are supposed to have a good defense, so putting up the 30-plus points on that team, that's probably good in a lot of people's books. So, yeah, Steelers sitting at 10 right now. At 9, you got Tampa Bay Buccaneers dropping 4 spots. They lost Chris Godwin for the rest of the year. They lost Mike Evans until at least the week 11 with a hamstring injury. So this team, they just got a lot of injuries right now. That's the main reason they're dropping, and they also had a pretty embarrassing loss to the Ravens. At 8, the Buffalo Bills, they move up 2 spots. The Bills, they got Amari Cooper. I mean, and that's what they needed. The wide receivers was one of their biggest struggles that they had, and they went out and addressed it. They could not get separation in man. Amari Cooper is one of the best wide receivers in getting separation against man. So, yeah, they move up 2 spots. They got the win. Makes sense to me to move them up. The Green Bay Packers sitting at 7. That's exactly where they were at last week. They had a tough game against the Houston Texans. It was a close one. I don't really feel right knocking them back because they did put up a good fight. So they're going to sit even at 7. The Washington Commanders moving up 2 spots. Jaden Daniels did get hurt. It is not serious. They did hold him out of the game, though. And Marcus Mariota came in, and the offense looked still good. They put up 40 points. I believe it was also against the Carolina Panthers. So, I mean, hey, the Panthers aren't good, obviously, but if your backup quarterback's coming in and your offense doesn't skip a beat, that's going to move you up in my rankings. At 5, the Houston Texans, they move up 1 spot. They got the win. The run game looked good. It sucks that C.J. Stroud did not have a good passing game, but hey, if your run game's looking good and that's going to keep you in games, you keep winning. That's all that matters, to be honest. At 4, the Minnesota Vikings, they're gonna drop 1 spot from last week. So they played the Lions. They had a tough game. The Lions are good. The Vikings are also good. And it was a close game. It was a dogfight. I did end up flipping the 2, so the Lions are sitting at 3. It's just a matter of the win. I mean, they got the win in the division game, so they got the lead on them in the division now. So that's why they're sitting at 4, and the Lions are at 3. At number 2, you got the Baltimore Ravens. They're staying even. I would be okay if you wanted to put the Ravens at 1, if I'm being honest with you. I think the Ravens have finally got to midseason form. They're good. They're legit. You don't mess with Derrick Henry and Lamar in the backfield. But the Kansas City Chiefs, they stay at 1 just like they were last week. Until they lose, I can't really... I wouldn't argue with you if you said the Chiefs are 1 and the Ravens are 2, because the Kansas City Chiefs, they're undefeated. Once they lose, then I'll probably have the justification to bump the Ravens up. Mahomes did not look good. 2 interceptions. Obviously, you cannot be turning over the ball, and that's going to come back to bite them in the playoffs, I'm sure, if he doesn't turn that around. He's had a lot of interceptions this year, a lot of turnovers. So right now, the Chiefs are still the best team in the NFL, according to me and Orb. But when it comes to this video, that's the rankings. Like I said in all the videos, these are subjective opinions. So go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know about the injuries. There was a ton of injuries, and to big names, Mike Evans, Godwin, Ayuk. Deshaun Watson's not a big name right now. He was a couple years ago, but it was a starting quarterback. There was a lot of serious injuries this week. But for this video, that's all we got. So if you enjoyed, please remember to like and sub for more Madden content, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.